What do you think if I say the name Christopher Columbus? Does it invoke a feeling of pride for the Italian man who braved the sea in 1492 and discovered the Caribbean and helped to colonize it? Or do you think of an awful man who killed many on his quest for Spain to colonize everything? The different emotions that people feel when they hear Columbus's name have sparked some debates in the past few years. Some believe that Columbus was an awful person and have protested statues and Columbus Day, as they believe it supports white supremacy. But why does all this controversy exist? When Columbus first arrived in the Caribbean in 1492 with his crew of Spaniards, they started colonizing and colonizing and even more colonizing. Both Columbus and Spain became extremely rich after colonizing the Caribbean. Due to an agreement with the King and Queen of Spain, Columbus became governor of all the land he claimed and 10% of the profits. When Columbus and his crew first arrived, there were people already living there. We know that these natives were nice to the newcomers, as Columbus in his diary describes them as trustworthy and quick to offer us anything they possess. But the Spaniards weren't as nice to these natives. Bartolomé de las Casas, a man appointed by the Spanish government to help protect the natives, wrote in a letter to the Spanish monarchy that the Spaniards behaved like wild beasts, like starving wolves, and that their cruelty has been extreme and relentless. Another quote from De las Casas' letter states that they attacked the towns and spared no one, not only stabbing and dismembering the natives, but cutting them to pieces as is dealing with sheep in the slaughterhouse. They wrapped others in straw and burned them alive. He also mentioned how the survivors were shipped to Spain as slaves. It's important to note that about 70 to 80% of the natives were killed by disease. The rest were subject to the horrors that were previously mentioned. With all that happened to the natives, it's easy to label Columbus as a villain. But it's important to remember that slavery and brutality like this was normal for conquering back during Columbus's times. Many great civilizations, such as the ancient Romans, Greeks, Egyptians, Mayans, Mesopotamia, and even the United States of America for a little while, had slaves like the Spanish did during Columbus's time. The colonization of the Americas and the Caribbean helped open new world trade routes and connect the New World and the Old World. These contributions to modern-day society could help make a point to say that Columbus was a hero, but it's not all that black and white. What I do know for sure is that we shouldn't take down the artifacts that honor Columbus. Hiding our history is not the way to go. Instead, we should celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Indigenous Peoples Day is a holiday that replaces Columbus Day. This would allow for us to recognize Columbus's achievements and also the natives' suffering. Many places around the United States have already adopted this holiday. I believe that this is the best option for our country as it appeases both sides of the argument. What Columbus did makes him a hero and also a villain. But we shouldn't punish him for that. We should just recognize both sides of what happened. What do you think? Was Columbus a hero or a villain? I personally lean more towards the hero side, but it's an open discussion. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video on Columbus's questionable morals.